Thank you, Ms. Yuki. Mr. Ronald Jackson, Chief Steering Committee of the International Recovery Platform. Governor Motohiko Saito, Governor of Hyogo Prefecture. Mr. Noburo Umeru, Deputy Director General for Disaster Management Cabinet, Office, Government of Japan. Mr. Masayuki Takemura, Professor, Disaster Mitigation Research Center, Nagoya University. Mr. Takeo Murakami, Director, Cabinet Office, Government of Japan, Co-Chair, IRP Steering Committee. Mr. Abilas Panda, the Officer in Charge, Intergovernment Process, Interagency Cooperation Partnership, UNDRR. A pleasant day to everyone. I am Mr. Emil SADAIN, the Senior Undersecretary of the Department of Public Works and Highways, the Engineering and Construction arm of the Government of the Philippines. I would like to welcome everyone who are physically attending and to those online in this International Recovery Forum 2023 with the theme Building Back Better and Long-Term Recovery Outcomes Aspirations for a Resilient and Sustainable Future. Build Back Better signifies an ideal reconstruction and recovery process that delivers resilient, sustainable, and efficient reconstruction solutions to disaster-affected communities with the end objectives to make communities and infrastructure stronger and more resilient following a disaster event. Traditionally, post-disaster reconstruction consisted of several simple repairing the physical damages that have been induced by disaster. However, this rebuilding of critical infrastructure, exactly as they were prior to a disaster, often recreates the same vulnerabilities that existed earlier. If restored to pre-disaster standard, disaster-affected communities would face the same difficulties if exposed to another disaster event in the future. The Sendai framework lays the foundation in enhancing disaster preparedness for effective Build Back Better in an exclusive and comprehensive recovery, rehabilitations, and reconstruction after a major disaster. Disaster recovery framework are thus necessary to ensure an adequate structure for linkages among plans, activities, and programs of government for the long-term recovery experiences of countries impacted by disasters. Given the three major flood disasters have already occurred during the pandemic years in the Philippines, such as Typhoon Rolly with International Code Goni on November 6, 2020, affecting Bicol region, and Typhoon Ulysses, International Code Name BAMCO, a powerful and deadly Category 4 equivalent typhoon that struck the capital city of Manila on November 11, 2020. While Super Typhoon Odette, International Code Name Rai, on December 16, 2021, brought torrential rains, violent winds, and storm surges to the Visayas and Mindanao Islands in the south. 8 years after Super Typhoon Yolanda, Typhoon Haiyan codename, the most destructive storm to ever hit the Philippines, Super Typhoon Rai brought similar torrential rains, violent winds, mudslides, floods, and storm surges to central part of the Philippines, leaving a wide path of destruction and debris in its wake. While not as powerful as Haiyan in terms of wind strength, evidence shows that Typhoon Rai damaged houses, infrastructures, and livelihood on a comparable scale or even greater numbers. Most striking, Typhoon Rai damaged 1.57 million houses, 500,000 more than Haiyan across 11 of the Philippines' 17 regions, with around 200,000 people. People across affected areas were already coping with increasing poverty, unemployment, and a rollback on development gains following 2 years of the pandemic. Their resources are now depleted and local coping capacities are severely strained. Overall, an estimated total 16 million people in 7 regions in the country were affected, leaving about 2.4 million people in need of assistance. Today, we are still grasping to understand the full impact of the disaster caused by these typhoons that highlighted the needs for us to continue building typhoon resilience infrastructures in the country. The Philippine Consolidated Post-Disaster Needs Assessment Report, Relief Web, January 2022, states that disasters are produced due to the weaknesses and vulnerabilities of communities, countries, and structures to withstand the hazards. Lessons learned by the Philippine government after the onslaught of these typhoons in rehabilitating and reconstructing our infrastructure projects include: 1. Start recovery planning in order to build back better. The Philippine national government agencies, in cooperation with the local government units, have instituted a whole-of-government approach of its plans and programs in the implementation of the Build Better, More high-impact projects. The Philippine infrastructure spending to GDP ratio has steadily increased over the years as we move forward with the enduring effects of the pandemic and geopolitical politics. The Philippine government is prioritizing the welfare of the Filipino people with the overall goal to accelerate infrastructure development, create more quality jobs, reduce poverty, and achieve inclusive, resilient economic growth from 2022 to 2028. And fourth, the government must enhance preparedness for future disasters. The Philippine government is ensuring that disaster risk reduction is given integrated top priority by constructing sound structural interventions that will mitigate the disaster risks. The Philippines is a steady partner of the Japan government in adopting the Sendai framework of Build Back Better principle in our recovery planning and constructing resilient infrastructure. I know that the good recovery and preparedness practices, reconstructions and rehabilitation experiences are myriad challenges and issues to be presented in these IRP 2023 forum sessions will educate us and strategically build the concise and clear guidance for recovery and to make critical infrastructure resilient in the face of future water-related hazards. Again, I am thanking the organizers of the IRP 2023 for embracing the international mechanism, for sharing experiences and lessons learned as we look forward at the later half of the Sendai framework in our efforts to build back better. Finally, on behalf of the Philippine government to the Department of Public Works and Highways, I would like to express my gratitude to the government of Japan and the Japan International Cooperation Agency for the continued support and trusted partnership between our countries through the years. As we pursue our Build Better More initiatives, we're looking forward that the Japanese government will continue its strong commitment and support to the Philippine government. Overall, the official development assistance of Japan to the Philippines in various sectors and in various forms are indeed vital instruments towards achieving the country's goal for economic growth and sustainable development, as well as disaster resiliency. Ladies and gentlemen, a pleasant day to everyone. Thank you.